Perfect. When I first got there, I joined the clique, and I tried to be one of the mean girls. I took on a new nickname, Jersey, because I acted like my shit don't stink. Like I was a mafia girl in The Sopranos or something. But a girl from the bayou can't imitate the Meadowlands. Plus, my idea of a mean girl Jersey persona meant I had to make fun of people or act judgy. Like, oh my God, did you see what she was doing in the canteen? It's not nice to make fun of people. And I realized quickly that I wasn't a mean girl.
Oh
Then,
my God.
I went through a goth phase and listened to heavy metal and wore black lipstick. That was brief too. Did the tomboy thing, which was only defined by my short hair at the time. I kept trying on different hats and different friend groups to see which one fit, just like any adolescent is expected to do. Except I was in my 20s. I tried to experiment with my sexuality too. I was pretty sure I was straight. Perfect.
She wasn't being a mean girl. She was ratting people out is what she was doing.
Yeah, she was.
Sorry, y'all. Welcome to Night Combos.
Welcome back. Hubby's here.
Hey, hubby.
Hey, lovey.
Hey, y'all. We just figured we'd throw that in real quick. It's something funny because we're going to go over her book. Y'all, I know the end of the month is coming up very, very quickly. And her show is supposed to be starting on March 10th and all that. And we're going to be covering that. And y'all asked for us to get through the book before the show. So we're working on it. We're going to do our best to start trying to put out chapters like every other day or every 2 days or so. But we are trying, we promise. We're going to get through this book. We got to get through chapter 13 too, because chapter 14 is the night that is about the night she unalived her mom. So, yeah, and then from there, I think there's only a few chapters left. But anyway, we're working on it, y'all. We promise we're trying to get through this as quickly as possible. So, anyway, we appreciate all of our subscribers so much. Thank you all so much for subscribing and being a part of our family and channel here. We greatly appreciate it. And if you're not already, please make sure you subscribe, like, share, hit the notification bell so that you don't miss any of our videos, all of the things, and leave your thoughts and opinions in the comment section, and we'll be conversating with y'all like always. We would greatly appreciate it so much. But with that being said, let's jump into part 12 of Gypsy's book. So since it's been a little bit since we did chapter 11, we'll play like the last 30 seconds of chapter 11 and then let the first half of chapter 12 play and give our commentary, and then let the last half of chapter 12 play and give our commentary like we usually do. But just as a little reminder type thing, we'll play the last 30 seconds of chapter 11.
I'd be more afraid, or angry, or despondent. But I felt nothing, like all of my emotions had been zapped out of me in a sterile shock treatment room. Back to the house, she said, her hands gripping the portable wheelchair. I transferred myself from the ground to the chair, and she wheeled me back to the house. We had an appointment with the ENT we couldn't miss.
And y'all don't forget, that was about her being locked in the shed and stuff. Her saying that her mom locked her in the shed and then came and got her and said to get in the wheelchair because they had an appointment with the ENT that they couldn't miss, which is a ears, nose, and throat doctor. Sorry.
12. Intermission. Recovering my medical records. Disclosure will bring closure. That's what I thought whenever I imagined the day when I would finally have all my medical records in my hands. And that day arrived in 2024, about 3 weeks after my release from Chillicothe Correctional Center. All the secret facts about my medical history were sprawled out on my living room floor in the apartment my husband Ryan and I moved into. I decided I'd really dive in once Ryan went back to work after the long holiday break. Sending him off to the school where he teaches somehow makes me feel like a wife, like we are really married. I think it's because him leaving also implies he must return to me. He doesn't have to return if he doesn't want to. And when he does, it reinforces the commitment and loyalty of marriage. I am worth being returned to. Looking through these medical records, I don't see myself as a person who really had much value to anyone. As I thumb through dozens of manila file folders, dated all the way back to 2000, so much anger against the medical establishment builds in me, more than I anticipated. 5 binders and a box that mark the documentation of my medical mayhem. It's like my anatomy has been shoved into a file cabinet or something. I don't understand most of the language the so-called medical professionals use to describe me in these hundreds of pages. I see lots of jargon and abbreviations and numbers, esoteric codes that for anyone who cared to notice, spell out in plain sight, there's nothing here. The least someone had to do to flag my case was to look at my name and date of birth. My name, depending on the year or the specialist, was spelled differently. Sometimes my first name was hyphenated. Other times my last name was spelled incorrectly, with an E at the end. Blanchard, my mother's attempt to separate herself from my father, even further than she could geographically? Or was it she was running from other things, like prior legal offenses? Anyone who cared to notice could have seen these inconsistencies, but nobody cared enough. In addition to telling me things I already knew about certain diagnoses, the sleep apnea, allergies, asthma, epilepsy, muscular dystrophy, leukemia, the medical records provided me with a map and a timeline, not only of when my mother's Munchausen began to consume her, but of how she trapped herself within it, like a spider stuck in its own web. Seeing the dates of the medical records reminded me of how much we moved around. I see the names of certain doctors and the tests and procedures I underwent, and I'm instantly transported back to the various towns and cities we lived in between 1999 and 2015. But I was supposedly sick before that, as an infant. Mama insisted that I stopped breathing in my sleep. She told me stories about how she was so nervous I would die, especially at nighttime, that she would lay me on top of her chest while I slept so she could watch my little body rise and fall. Of course, my rotten father was nowhere to be found, she reminded me. She was the one who loved me enough to forgo her own sleep, an exhausted new mother keeping watch over her baby bird. I didn't find out until recently that once my mother told my father of my sleep apnea diagnosis, he decided to give it another try with Dee Dee. It's just a theory, but could my supposed sleep apnea have been an attention grab to get my dad back? If so, it worked. Dad did find us a rental house, and he moved back in with Mama. Living in a loveless marriage and working a job that kept him away for 3 weeks out of the month, Dad finally decided to break up for good. They divorced in 1992, just a year after my birth. Once my parents were officially over, Dad and Christy got engaged and then married, and my sleep apnea escalated to the point that I required an infant CPAP machine. The estrangement between my dad and me began around this time, when the narrative my mother preferred was that my father was an abusive asshole who tried to throw me across the room in a drunken stupor, and then left to have a new family that he could physically and emotionally abuse. What kind of man leaves his wife and sickly infant? Mama swore that if I had been a boy, Dad wouldn't have left. For a long time, I felt bad for being the reason my father left Mama. There was nothing I could do to make myself a boy or to make myself unsick. Thank God I had my mama there to save me. I didn't see medical records of me visiting a doctor for sleep apnea in infanthood, or a prescription or records of where Mama got the CPAP machine. For all I know, she bought it at a garage sale, or paid out of pocket for it at a medical supply store. Or worse, stole it from the hospital where she had once worked. My medical records double as my mother's resume. Being my caregiver was her primary profession, one that she figured out how to monetize. I'm in awe of the lengths my mother went to in her efforts to convince doctors to test me for invisible symptoms. The documents I now have are reminders of prodding and poking, but it's the fear that I feel all over again. The fear of a confused little girl in the face of a constant barrage of unknown things that would happen to me. I was so scared all the time. It creeped me out to undergo numerous sleep studies which required me to be watched. I wanted to sleep with my mother, like we always did, instead of hooked up to machines like a rat in a lab. I was scared when they told me they would cut my abdomen so my mother could nourish me with a feeding tube. The loud darkness of the MRI machines, the gross dyes I had to have injected by needle, the looming threat of a cancer relapse. The records don't account for the unnecessary anxiety I endured for no good reason at all. I don't see "scared little girl" written anywhere in the anecdotal notes at the bottom of the pages. Instead, I find one note: our favorite mother-daughter patient. I'm enraged. It's like the doctor couldn't even let me have my own patient identity. He just wrapped us into one warped person. What does having a favorite have to do with my fake kidney disease you're testing for? I see notations about the blood traces in my urine, and the dye I drank to test my kidneys for dysfunction. I recall vividly that day in the bathroom of the doctor's office when Mama pricked her finger with a safety pin and let the drop of blood spill into the white paper cup I had just peed in. The tests, of course, all came back negative. Even with the good news of healthy kidneys, my mother found a way to gain the worry and follow-up of the doctors. I had a severe allergic reaction to the kidney dye. The records indicate my mother reported this to them, and they had not actually witnessed an adverse reaction. What she falsified became fact with just a pen stroke. These medical records reveal an arsenal of weapons my mother was capable of wielding. Had I witnessed a ruthlessness in my mother when I was smaller, when I saw her putting Roundup weed killer in her stepmother Laura's food? Was that why we suddenly left town and went to New Orleans to live in the Ronald McDonald House, where we spent several weeks rent-free? And then to Slidell, Louisiana, and then back to our Section 8 housing project in Thibodaux? Bouncing around was a way to ensure people would lose track of us, lose track of the lies, and to distance us from any chance of running into a competent human being who would call her out on her deceit. These medical records are like a montage of my mother's disease. I see, as I review them, that she focused on asserting symptoms nobody could perceive, so she couldn't be contradicted. Warning signs that were not obvious. Gypsy Rose has multiple medical concerns as outlined by her mother, one record states. She had to find things wrong with me that would require at least an initial examination, creating a condition for doctors to figure that they needed to take her word for it. The devastation of Hurricane Katrina helped the doctors to do exactly that. Katrina helped my mother prey on the empathy of others, an opportunity for monetizing my medical history. With all of my medical records supposedly lost in Katrina, we moved to Missouri in 2005, refugees and victims of a storm that wiped out an entire city. I was confused but not yet suspicious when Mama's storytelling escalated into a false backstory. We suddenly had dead relatives, lost our home and all of our possessions in Katrina, and Mama had once been a nurse. Welcomed and cared for by the sweet community of Springfield, we became local celebrities, recipients of the compassion of its people, where we were gifted a Habitat for Humanity house on Volunteer Way, where we lived for 10 years until the night of the murder. I notice a pattern now in these records, the ripple effects of each of my diseases and disorders. The sleep apnea, the seizures that led to my mental retardation, all invisible and unwitnessed, requiring no interrogation. The only true medical issue I had was a lazy eye, which was operated on. It looks like one way she unraveled the medical issues was to pick something like a seizure, and then look into the plethora of effects that could happen to the body in the aftermath and continue from there. Another way she justified my illnesses was by claiming I had a disease-inducing chromosomal defect. Interestingly, I found a chromosome test in one of the boxes of my medical files. It was ordered in 2012 when I was already 20 years old, after a doctor could not find anything wrong with me that would explain the cornucopia of illnesses my mother claimed I had. His last-ditch effort was to consider if my ailments were due to a rare chromosomal defect. Just when I...
She says right after the very beginning that her medical records gave her a timeline of when her mother's Munchausen's began to consume her. What the heck, y'all? I swear this girl is something else, truly. Gypsy, what do you mean? Most of us have seen the autopsy of Dee Dee with her diagnosed illnesses, and she did not, and I'll repeat it for you there, Dip Jip, your mother did not have Munchausen by proxy. Really fictitious disorder imposed on another, rather. That's what it's called now. Some people will still say MBP, though, because it's easier and shorter, I guess. Actually, a lot of us still say Munchausen by proxy or MVP sometimes, and we get that. But y'all look at this. Okay, this is one of the pages from Dee Dee's autopsy, and this is the page with Dee Dee's medical history on it. And y'all can see, like, up here at the top is where her medical history is. The rest of it, the bottom of it, is the description of her body, like when the coroner received it and stuff. But up at the top, you can see that she had diabetes, they have that checked. Cancer, they have that checked. And then out beside it, they have endometrial written out beside it. And then right here, it says other. And we cannot tell what that says, but maybe y'all can. Maybe y'all can help us with it. But if we zoom in on it, y'all can see up here where they have diabetes checked right there. And then right here, they have cancer checked. And it was endometrial cancer that she had. And then she had some type of, I don't know if it's hyper something like, I don't know if it says hyperthyroidism or, you know, it could be a plethora of things, literally, that's hyper something. But y'all can see it says something like hyper something, and then there's a a comma, and then something else. So, I don't know. Sorry that it's blurry, y'all. We're truly sorry about that. We tried to clear it up the best we could. But she was sick. Dee Dee was sick when she was unalived. And she had been dealing with these illnesses and stuff like that. So, yeah, like, Gypsy needs to stop with this mess. Like, Dee Dee was very sick. She was very much overweight. And we're not body shaming or being like that or anything like that in any way or anything. It's just that's the truth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She was just overweight and she was very sick. And Gypsy could have just called the police. I mean, she said it herself. She could have just left. Dee Dee told her to just leave. But that wasn't good enough. Gypsy wanted her mom unalived. For entertainment and educational purposes only. Just putting our little anchor voice in there, you know. And our opinions, please do your own research. But really, y'all. But what do y'all think of it? And what do y'all think that, you know, it says on Dee Dee's autopsy there? Like we said, we tried to clear it up the best we could. But also, that was for you, Gypsy, and for all you Gypsy White Knighters and Gypsy stands as well. So, are we all on the same page now? Finally? Yeah? Okay, great. Her saying sending Ryan off to work where he teaches somehow makes her feel like a wife, like they're really married.
What? They were really married.
I know, right? That's what I was getting ready to say. Like, they were really married. And she says when he leaves, he must return to her. Then says he doesn't have to, but when he does, it reinforces the commitment of her marriage. The problem is...
She never took their marriage seriously.
Yeah, she never took... You keep doing that. But, yeah, she never, like, she never took their marriage seriously. She didn't. She didn't care about their marriage at all. That's what I was going to say. Is the problem is she didn't care about their marriage at all. But, But stop taking my thoughts, though. You do that all the time, hubby. You really do. Anyway, yes, when she said sending him off to work made it feel like they were really married. Again, ma'am, you were really married. You just don't care about what marriage truly means and stands for, or the commitment it represents, and where the views you make. Yes, sorry, y'all, I get tongue-tied. You don't care about the commitment and what marriage really means and what the vows you make before God to each other really mean. All you think marriage is a piece of paper, and if you don't like it, well, you can just get a divorce. No big deal. If y'all could see my eyes roll right now, I swear to goodness. Did y'all hear where she said her mom changed her name by putting an E at the end of Blanchard to make it Blanchard? Then one of the things she whines about is her name being messed up. And she wonders if it was her mom running away from past legal issues. Did y'all hear that? Because Gypsy, that is exactly what you did and continue to do. It's like, hello? Did you lose the bright colors in your crayon box? Or you just never was working with a full box of crayons? What do y'all think? Like, really? Goodness. Gypsy, your father was rotten, as you said, as you said, for choosing not to be around. And maybe her dad was rotten. We're working on that video to put out, too, about Rod, y'all. We have so many videos we've been working on for a while that we're trying to get finished up so we can get them posted for y'all. We want them to be good because, of course, we want y'all to enjoy them. Anyway, your grandfather Claude even said your alarm would go off as a baby and it would worry all of them when you stopped breathing, Gypsy. Stop acting like or portraying and lying about your mom making up illnesses. My goodness. Gypsy, your dad did choose to leave you. And for you to say that your mom claimed that he threw you across the room or whatever as an infant is just ridiculous and nonsense. Like, come on. Like, you would have literally severe illnesses or mental illnesses or literally be handicapped for life if that would have happened, or possibly not even be here anymore if that would have truly happened. Like, be so for real. But your dad did choose to leave you, an actual sick child, and your mom too, to go be with Christy, and couldn't keep it in his pants and started a family with her, and Christy hadn't let him go since, you know?
Talk about being like a spider in a web.
Seriously, I know, for real. The only reason he can have anything to do with her now is because Christy worked so hard while Gypsy was in prison to make her well known for the blood money. That's why she tolerates her. What are y'all's thoughts on that? And then Gypsy says the quote, gross dyes she was injected with for an MRI. You don't taste those. It's literally put into your IV. So with the so what's with the lies already? Like, goodness. Like, you literally said yourself the gross dyes that you were injected with, meaning it was put into your IV. You said it yourself. So what do you mean gross? You don't taste it. Well, I mean, you can taste it a little bit. I mean, because we both had MRIs before.
Mm-hmm.
And like, you know, or CAT scans and stuff. And they do inject you with a dye. And it may give you like this slight metal type taste in your mouth a little bit. But I mean, like, that's it. I mean, you can barely taste it though. Like, my goodness. Like, she's so ridiculous, y'all. We all know the truth, Gypsy. The only people that don't, sadly, are these young teenagers that see you have lots of followers that you're losing fairly quickly, by the way, that do not know what you did or who you really are and think you're some type of celebrity. So, y'all believe her mom really pricked her finger to put blood in her urine at the doctor's office? Do y'all believe that? Like, let us know in the comments.
What do you think?
Like, I don't know. I don't think her mom did all that just to have her tested for stuff. But I do think that they both exaggerated Gypsy's real illnesses, like Gypsy has admitted to get people's sympathy and for financial gain, like she said in Nick's trial on the stand.
Yeah.
Like, I think that. You know, they were both conning. We both know that. I mean, me and you both know that.
Yeah.
You know, but oh my gosh, y'all. Gypsy admitted to actually seeing her mom putting Roundup weed killer in her stepmom Laura's food. Do y'all believe that? Or do y'all think she just heard it and is now using it to help her own narrative? That's what I think. What about you, hubby? Like, what do you think about that? Because she was a baby when, or a small toddler when that was allegedly done. So I think she's just doing it to fit her own narrative.
Yeah.
Your voice went out on you. Y'all, I swear.
Yep.
I know we say this a lot, but hubby and I both really do deal with our sinuses a lot. And when the weather changes a lot and it's like really cold during the day, and now it's cold during the day and at night, but it was being like, kind of warmer during the day and then cold at night and stuff. It really messes with like our sinuses and stuff. So Hubby's over here trying to drink his water, bless his heart.
Is that better?
Yeah, that's better. Bless your heart. Sorry, y'all. We can't help it. We really can't. But yes, Gypsy, doctors document everything. Y'all, I've written and typed so many documents, binders full for just one patient, because you want to make sure you're covered. Is if anyone like ever says anything, you can pull the documentation. So yeah, doctors and nurses have to document everything, literally, word for word. Like if a patient gets mad at you, for example, and they say something to you, you want to document that. That way they can't come back and say that you did something or said something that you didn't, So yeah, everything is documented, Gypsy. That doesn't mean a doctor will just go with whatever you or your mom says, though. They will check for themselves to cover their butt. And so will nurses. Just so y'all know, like, it's the truth. I mean, I've done it. I've literally handwritten and typed out so many documents. It is wild. That's why you and Christy couldn't sue for malpractice, because nothing was done unnecessarily. Okay, y'all, let's listen to the last half of this. Sorry about that. I had the volume turned down. Anyway, okay, here we go. I backed it up just a few seconds.
If my ailments were due to a rare chromosomal defect. Just when I thought I had figured out the mystery, I realized how that theory just can't be true, because I had already lived with these supposed illnesses for 2 decades by the time of these test results. Exploring my medical records was supposed to demystify me, not baffle me even more. Now I had more questions than I had before. Does there somewhere exist a similar chromosome test, one given to me when I was born? Was this the one medical issue I had that was true? Did my mother then turn that one truth into 1,000 lies? The rest of my files indicate no abnormalities, so regardless of the actual microdeletion, I had grown up unscathed by it. They say the best liars use a hint of truth. Either my mother knew I had this condition before the 2012 test, researched the potential outcomes, and ran with them, or this one time, the disorder she claimed for me turned out to be real, though without real symptoms. This was a rabbit hole my brain went down and I still can't climb out of. Different scenarios keep me up at night. Did she simply read too many baby books when she was pregnant with me and feared all the potential negative outcomes? Did she know she had the same genetic abnormality and presumptuously tell people she had passed it on to me? Nonetheless, she had used this chromosomal microdeletion, as benign as it was, to convince everyone that I had the mind of a 7-year-old. Even though back in Golden Meadow, she said my low IQ was because of the epileptic seizures that I never had. She said that my salivary glands were contributing to my swallowing problems, but then she also said that my swallowing had been affected by the seizures. Later, with the ENT specialist, she posited that the issues with my glands and my high-pitched voice could be related. An exploratory surgery to cut my larynx was scheduled. The most dramatic inconsistency had to do with the use of my wheelchair. Despite the fact that Mama told some people I needed a wheelchair because of a car accident, and others that my immobility was due to muscular dystrophy, I found a medical record from my cardiologist that stated she is quadriplegic from birth and is in a wheelchair. On the same document, my date of birth is recorded as being July 1994, 3 years later than my real birth date. I looked up the definition of quadriplegic, and I was stunned that not only did Mama pass me off as not being able to walk, but she was audacious enough to claim I was paralyzed from the neck down. And still, nobody questioned her. Making up a backstory was part of her process. She told stories, creating devastation where there was none. Both my grandfathers had died of arterial disease. I had cancer. My father had been abusive to us. Her lies estranged me from my father, brother, and sister, and from the entire Petrie family. She even went as far as taking a baby picture of my brother Dylan, Dad and Christy's firstborn, and showing it to people as her dead baby boy, who she had with my father before I was born. She used drugs to manipulate my body to mimic certain symptoms. Before the sleep studies, she would mix Xanax with Benadryl. Could that combination have affected my breathing? She drugged me with narcotics to make me go limp and cause me brain fog. She put Orajel on my gums to make me drool, so she'd have doctors believe my salivary glands were not working properly. Before doctor's appointments, she made me really sleepy with extra doses of Keppra, which treats seizures. My ability to take ownership of these medical records is empowering, but I am also hunting. I can't change the past or what was done to me, but I do want to know concrete answers on why they took out my teeth. I never had any reason given to me from a doctor, nor from Mama. Being reminded of all the medications and the different procedures, like going under anesthesia, isn't giving me a clear, full explanation as to why they extracted all my teeth. All I've dug up is Mom reported tooth pain. Always, her word was gospel. I see the records from the food allergist, noting how my mother was thorough and caring enough to bring in the food labels of ingredients and foods I supposedly had allergic reactions to. A donut, an oatmeal cookie, a chocolate chip cookie, a Dove bar. My mother is on record saying that when I was fed rice products, oats, apples, or corn, I'd have a reaction. She has avoided milk, soy, and egg in the past, the records say. And of course, she insisted I was allergic to sugar, even though she said I could eat some fruits, which have sugar naturally in them. It's such a dumb claim. Still, it took years for a red flag to be waved and DFS called, to no avail. I watched a little bit of the documentary on Lifetime that we filmed while I was waiting to be released, and it was the first time I heard from a couple of doctors anything like, "Gypsy, if you're listening, I'm so sorry. I wish I would have acted. I feel like I failed you." But I toyed with the idea of filing a malpractice lawsuit. I have all this evidence of negligence. Really though, I just want to focus on my future restorative surgeries. So if I sue anyone, it will be so they pay for things they did in the past that continue to cause me to suffer in the present. My teeth are what I want back. Absent some kind of compensation, I'd have to pay out of pocket to undo things that were done to me. I'm very much still paying for their mistakes. I'm not asking for millions of dollars. I'm just saying, help me have enough money to pay for restorative surgery so I could at least have a little normalcy back in my life. And last I checked, they can't give me my salivary glands back. I keep looking for where the doctors cross the point of no return, where my records take a wrong turn into the realm of becoming life-threatening to me. It was when they started moving beyond the testing and actually acted. When they started cutting and manipulated my body, altering it and changing its healthy form forever. The feeding tube. Supposedly, I had a fear of eating, and that claim was enough to surgically insert a silicone tube into a 5-year-old. I don't recall being spoken to about this fear. Other explanations my mother gave to people regarding the tube included my cancer, an inability to swallow, and food allergies. She needed to control my nourishment to keep me safe. With every injection of Pedialyte, she chose the dosage and the feeding times, and therefore she could control my weight. After all, a sick child isn't supposed to have meat on their bones. That feeding tube kept me connected to my mother the way an umbilical cord does. She could turn the food supply on or off me whenever she wanted, like a human spigot. I spent my entire life without any bodily autonomy, but as much as the records I now rightfully have back in my possession make me sad and angry, I also feel empowerment, and hope, and peace. As I piece together my medical mystery, uncovering truths and details that my mother withheld from me, I'm going to stay steady on the path to the future I'm now on, one lined with understanding and knowledge and self-awareness. Will that lead to forgiveness? I'll have to wait and see. I have been blessed to have been given a second chance at life. Not everyone has the opportunity to bring awareness to a horrible situation or create meaning where there once was none. This is the good thing about being public, having the ability to reach a lot of people with a message of positivity. I don't want to be the victim and the perpetrator any longer. I want to have influence, maybe even go to the Capitol and get some laws in place, get some things changed. For starters, I create oversight, so doctors can be kept accountable for doing harm and being inept. Maybe this is my purpose. By exercising my purpose, I can ensure doctors are more observant of their patients' care and get trained to look for red flags. My medical history was not a red flag, though. It was a goddamn red banner that read, "How could you not know?" How many people saw my real birth date on my Medicaid card and just disregarded it, thinking, "Oh look, a typo. Oh well." My mother once had to make a preemptive strike to a receptionist at the doctor's office, who must have looked at the card askance. "Oh yes," she said with a smile. Her card says she was born in 91, but it's actually in 1995. And that, y'all, was good enough for them. By the time we got to the ENT to explore the problem of my squeaky voice, the doctors had been conditioned to not question such a knowledgeable, doting mother. Or maybe they didn't want to face her attitude, the way family members did when they questioned her about my health. So a surgery was recommended to open up my throat to take a peek at my larynx. No biggie. After the beating in the alley, the 2 weeks tied to the bed, the BB gun, the night in the shed, a lifetime of lies, spells, isolation, starvation, emotional manipulation, and medical procedures with life-changing side effects, this unnecessary exploratory surgery on my voice box felt most threatening to me. Any slip of the hand could leave me voiceless, mute, forever. This is what I believed. This is what I felt. This is when the thought finally came. It's me or her. Hysterical, I pleaded with her to reconsider the surgery. There was no discussion, as usual. When we got home from that appointment with the ENT, I took 3 oxy and craved the fantasy world Nick and I lived in. I messaged him. Do you remember when you told me you'd protect me from people who want to hurt me? I asked Nick over text. Yes, darling. Will you still protect me? Yes, Nick answered. Even from my mother? Yes.
Y'all, she's got some kind of nerve. Do y'all remember the doctor saying, "Oh, Gypsy, if you're listening, I'm so sorry I failed you," in the documentary? Because I don't remember that part.
No.
I really don't. She's got some nerve. And then to act like she didn't eat real food. Gypsy, you know good and dang well you ate some real food. You ate real food all the time. You know you did. Anyway, sorry, y'all. She can get under your skin quick if if you let her. And I don't mean to let her, but dang, with the lies. Y'all, she still doesn't want to admit that she does, in fact, have issues from her chromosome microdeletion. Like, no. Then she goes on talking about her mom reading too many baby books while pregnant with Gypsy.
That's all Gypsy has talked about doing is reading books while pregnant.
Yeah. And read even more books, on what to expect in the first year and all that. When she was pregnant or whatever, she was reading what to expect when you're expecting. And now she's reading, what to expect in the first year and stuff. So what do y'all think? Will Gypsy get too many ideas in her head or think, maybe my baby is not that far along yet with something that the book says the baby should be doing or saying or something like that, and think that something's wrong with her baby? Y'all know what I mean? Yet you didn't mind all the exaggerated things that you and your mom said was wrong with you, though, did you there, Gypsy?
Yeah, so she could go to Disney World and get free trips and money.
Yeah, exactly. And continue to be a spoiled brat, just like she still is to this day. What do y'all think? Seriously. We're going to be combing through all her medical records carefully, and we'll be making videos on them, so make sure y'all are looking out for those and have y'all's notification bells turned on. Gypsy, though, you are dirty and so wrong for blaming your mom, who again is not here to defend herself or her side of the story for your dad not being in your life growing up. You're an adult now. Grow up. Seriously. Ask your dad why he didn't fight for custody, joint custody, or even visitation of you. I can't wait to do our video on that. I really cannot.
I know, right?
And seriously, none of Dee Dee's neighbors, friends, or anything have ever said that she used Dylan's baby picture to show as a baby boy her and Rod had that passed away before Gypsy was born. Like, I think some of us would have heard that by now, that like, Dee Dee used to show us a picture of a baby boy that she had that passed away. Like, nothing like that's ever been said about her having a baby before Gypsy was born. Gypsy, I swear, Gypsy, this book is full of lies and made up stuff by Gypsy, Christy, Rod, like everybody, the whole clan, in my opinion. But how could she have even done that when everyone knew that your dad left right after marrying her and knew that she didn't get pregnant until she was pregnant with you? That makes no sense, Gypsy. They took out your teeth also because, one, you were an adult and signed for it, which a lot of people don't know, but she did. Two, because you had bottle rot and other problems from sucking from a bottle until you were literally at Nick's house after unaliving your mom. Oh, y'all, that really gets me because she ran cons with her mom and got free teeth pretending to be a child with cancer allegedly, but she did get the free teeth. Just like a few months ago when that dentist redone her teeth for free and gave her permanent implants, which are $20,000 plus dollars. Her again grifting and taking from other people that could really use those services and can't afford them, but Gypsy most certainly can afford it. A doctor nor dentist is just going to remove your teeth just because they feel like it that day or do other procedures without it being needed just because your mom's word was, quote, gospel. They would only do something if it's necessary. They're not stupid, and they're not going to risk their license like that. Seriously, come on.
She's got some serious balls.
Yes, she does, asking for money to help pay for restorative surgery. I'm not asking for millions. I'm just asking for some kind of payment for restorative surgery. Like, go on somewhere, Gypsy. Go sit down somewhere and hush. Seriously. 'Cause it ain't gonna happen, girly pop. You really tried that and it didn't work, did it? Why? Because it was needed. Hello? You talk about your weight. Well, it's funny, at the time of your arrest, for your height, which is 4'11", your weight was normal, 95 pounds. So your mom wasn't starving you or, causing you to have, nutrition problems or to be malnourished or any of that. Your mom did the best she could with what she knew to take care of you and your outrages and all of that. If she was wanting to harm you so badly, why would she have taken you to the doctors all the time? They would have caught on to her harming you if that had been the case, but it wasn't. To the public, yes, y'all used your real illnesses to gain sympathy, money, and free vacations. Y'all didn't exaggerate them like to the doctors though when y'all went, and y'all didn't. You talk about wanting money for what was done to you. Nothing was done to you unnecessarily. But what about all the money you stole from Medicaid, Social Security Disability, and also Make-A-Wish Foundation, Habitat for Humanity, and all of the many other charities? You took that as an adult from children who literally passed away waiting on their wish, their one last vacation, their one last wish with their close family, their parents, and their siblings. Tell us, Gypsy, are you going to pay all those people back? What about the lady that always gave y'all food and money and now lost her business, and I believe her husband isn't doing well either, and she reached out to you nicely and you just blocked her? What about all those people and charities? Why don't you pay them back, Gypsy? Yes, you could reach a lot of people with a message of positivity, Gypsy, but do you?
She don't, though.
Right, she doesn't. Not once has she done that. Why do you think people are outraged about it? Instead, you're writing in a book that's basically corn, leaving your newborn baby at home to go out all night partying, showing off all the things you have from the money that's thrown at you by your stands that don't know the truth, and calling yourself an advocate while never advocating for anything. You're out here too worried about being famous and being an influencer that you admit didn't work out for you, not giving back in any way, while people are out here every day helping others as much as possible, even though they've never received charity. Someone like you who received charity knowingly as an adult under false pretenses like you did should give back. You should give back, Gypsy. Truly give back. But you won't. I don't see you doing it. You got some nerve, little girl, using the Lord's name in vain because you're mad that the doctors saw a, meaning one, Medicaid card in your file and believed it. They don't search people's purses or whatever to see if they have another one. Like, seriously? Also, it's the office staff that puts that info into the system, not the doctors. But mainly because you haven't gotten more free stuff and money is the real reason you're mad. You've done nothing to change laws like you talk about, and doctors know how to look for MVP, but your mom did not have it. Dang. Y'all think she's got it through her head yet? Like, it seems like she's not ever going to get it through her head. Because it's her narrative. It's her story. She's got to keep it up. How could the doctors not know? Well, let's see. Those times you were left alone with them for sleep studies and other visits, why did you not tell them?
Because it was part of the grift.
Yeah, exactly. She's got some nerve making up all these lies about her mom when she knew it was part of the cons to get money and other things. She is seriously messed up in the head, in my opinion, y'all. Seriously. I mean, don't you think?
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Seriously, it's ridiculous. But anyway, y'all, that's the end of this section. We'll probably get chapter 13 out by tomorrow, so be looking out for that. We appreciate y'all listening to our commentary on chapter 12 and stuff. We hope y'all enjoyed it. Again, we appreciate all of our subscribers and all of our new subscribers. Welcome. We truly appreciate all of you so much. We're getting so close to reaching our goal of 3,550 subscribers by the end of the month. We hope we reach it. But thank you so much to all of you. And if you're not already, please make sure you subscribe, like, share, hit the notification bell so that you don't miss any of our videos. All of the things that we would greatly appreciate it so much. And don't forget to let us know your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. And we'll be conversating with y'all like always. And we would greatly appreciate it. And we hope y'all are having a good night. And God bless.
Have a good night. God bless.
Bye.
Bye.